What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video, another quick take. I got my first time guest on here, Mr. Adrian Son. What up, bro?
Yo, what's going on, bro? What's going on?
What up, man?
Nothing much, nothing much, Just here to help you out, give my insight best I can. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to it. Let's get to it, though.
Cool, cool. So we got an article courtesy of Variety.com which says Pokemon says goodbye to Ash Ketchum with 23 series featuring two new trainers. The article goes on to say that after Ash Ketchum finally achieved his 25-year goal of becoming world champion, the Pokemon anime will bid farewell to him and his Pikachu and launch an upcoming animated series featuring a new storyline and characters. The new show, which will premiere worldwide in 2023 after Pokemon Ultimate Journeys, the series ends, will follow dual protagonists Liko and Roy and also feature the Paldea region's starter Pokemon Spirit. What? Yo, I'm not even gonna. It says Sprigatito. Yo, I'm not even gonna pronounce these new Pokemon names, but
I know,
from
I
the
know that grass one has a reference to
oh
like the Spanish language
shit,
and all
I don't
that,
even
but that's
know.
about
But
all I know.
yeah, but I'm assuming
Yeah.
so these are the starter Pokemon from the new games, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Violet. Pokemon Ultimate Journeys, the series will wrap up with 11 special episodes beginning on January 13th that celebrate Ash's long journey to become the top trainer in the Pokemon world. The upcoming episodes will feature fan favorite characters and let viewers in on what the future holds for Ash and Pikachu. Some of the returning familiar faces teased in a new trailer are Brock, Misty, Gary, Team Rocket, and some of Ash's most famous Pokemon. Now, before I kind of get into the fact that Ash is not going to be the main character in the Pokemon series anymore, I kind of wanted to rewind and go back a little bit to what your first early memories of Pokemon were and mine. So, I guess we could kind of start there.
Yeah, definitely. For me personally, man, I remember, as a kid just growing up, watching TV, cartoons. Eventually, you turn something on, you're gonna find it. Um, I just saw, Ash Pikachu on TV. Sure enough, I went to school and everyone had, the trading cards. Everybody was talking about it. Like it got to the point I remember everybody used to like, play imaginary Pokemon at a
Mm-hmm.
point. I'm sure you yourself can relate to that, you know. But yeah, I instantly fell in love. It was, way back then, it was so easy to get, caught up in that. Met like a few friends based off of that. But yo, man, I was completely obsessed, as a kid,
Yeah, yeah,
completely
yeah.
obsessed.
Yeah, I think for me, it was just another show to watch initially, and I'm not sure what it was, but I think after a while, as you watch any shows, you kind of have a favorite character that you gravitate to.
Right.
And me, my favorite character, my favorite Pokemon is Charizard, but not just any Charizard, it's Ash's Charizard because of his personality. And I think honestly, that's really what the hook was for me, out of everything, because I don't have that much of a fond memory as far as like, playing with the cards or none of that. It was really just the video games, like the Pokemon Red and just the
Right.
TV show, saying for me. But we were just talking about 2 weeks ago. And what's funny, when this whole came out anyway, the fact that Ash wasn't going to be on the show, we were both just saying that Ash, like the story of Ash to me was over years ago. Now it's
Long
it's
time
not even
ago.
because of the fact that I grew out of Pokemon, because that's not true. Because it's like I'll play Pokemon, I'll watch the movies, I'm still into it, but I'm just not caught up to date as to what's going on right now. So it's funny that 2 weeks ago we were just saying how Ash hasn't, grown at all. He's not the same. He's not what he used to be. And then 2 weeks later, he's leaving the show.
Right. And just to add on to that, it's funny because, you know, at the same time, as we were sitting there speaking on, saying that, yo, like he hasn't aged at all, he, like, bro, like we didn't really, it's not like we kept up, you know, through all of these different regions or anything. Like I just randomly came across like this Masters 8 tournament thing on TikTok. And I just sent it to you and I was like, yo, check this out. And it was like, okay, cool. Like I guess, we'll see what happens. But it's just crazy that like it took them this long to kind of figure it out. You know what I'm saying? That yo, like let's finally like have him move on and all of that, man. It took them way too long to do
Well,
this.
but I wouldn't even say it's for them figuring it out. I think it's a matter of the fact that they were just like just milking it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's one of those situations where it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if people are
I
still
guess, yeah.
watching the show, and if people are really still buying into the Ash Ketchum and Pikachu thing, then it's like, why change it? Because they wanted to keep that same demographic for kids this entire time. So it's
True,
not
yeah.
really like we, grew up with Ash. It's like we grew up. Ash stayed the same. So it's like
Exactly.
as we
Yeah.
getting older, it's like we want him to kind of update and kind of get to where we're at in terms of like maturity and mindset, and kind of look for those like character traits that we would see in like, Yugi. You know how it was Yugi, and then you had Yami Yugi, or you had the Pharaoh,
Yeah.
or you had
Yeah.
Kaiba, or you had Sasuke. They grew up. They
That's
didn't
actually
they didn't
really
stay the
really good
same.
comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't stay the same. Like they mature, they had more mature versions of themselves. But in fact, it's like Ash went from getting better to getting worse. Because for me, it's like the last Pokemon game I played was Heart Gold, and that came out in 2012. Not that, I don't want to play Pokemon. It's the fact that, like, yo, as you get older, you have different priorities. So if I got
Yeah.
$300, I'm not spending $300 on, 3DSs and shit to get, the newest Pokemon game and stuff like that. So if
Facts.
anything Pokemon related would happen, I would just hear about it. And then we started hearing about, mega evolutions, which is fine, right? But then once they started coming out with the Alolan or Aloha versions of Pokemon, and then I
They
saw,
lost me with that one.
yeah, and then once I saw how he started to look like, I'm like, nah, I'm not rocking with it.
Yeah, nah, that's facts. As soon as those Aloha versions came, I was like, yo, bro, what is this? I couldn't relate anymore, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just tough. And like you said, it's like we're getting older, like and an interesting aspect about the mega evolutions that I took was the fact that they brought it for older generations of Pokemon, like Charizard. Prime example. Seeing Charizard X and Y, I was like, yo, that's cool. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like a
Yeah.
like a more grown up version of the character, like for me, per se.
Mm-hmm.
But then like you said, they kept going and going, and all of a sudden Ash looks like he regressed in age and in maturity and all those things,
Yeah.
that you mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, yeah, bro, I don't know. But at the same time, like you said initially, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if people were still watching and buying, there's no reason to go and change that formula. So I do see it from that standpoint.
Yeah.
But to also add to that, on the opposite side of the spectrum, there were these like shorts that came out. I believe it was called Pokemon Generations.
Yeah.
Like
Yo. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
should have
Yeah.
they should have really seen how much success those things had and really pushed for that, because what caught me into that was seeing the other sides of the adventures that they never highlighted that came from the games, like
Facts.
seeing Gary, or as some people call him Blue, like take on the whole Elite Four by himself before Red or Ash, or however you want to plan out that story.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was fire, bro. Like seeing his
Right.
blastoise
Right.
against Dragonite, all of that. They should have
That was
seen.
like that was like a series that we could actually get into at that stage of
Yeah,
our lives.
yeah, exact.
We
At this stage in our lives, it was like, you know
right,
what?
right.
That's
But
something that would make me want to kind of reach into my pockets if they took it there,
if they took it there, exactly. But it's a matter
But
of the people who are creating, these series, like, the illustrators, the writers and all of that, they don't have people in their 20s in mind when they're making these shows. So
yeah,
that's why you see sometimes, like, I feel like maybe, the episodes now Pokemon that are like mad popular and stuff, I guess they have like that element of action in them. But in my opinion, that's not happening all the time on the show. So it's not like every single
no,
time.
you're right.
Yeah, it's not like every single episode of Pokemon is action packed. He in a tournament, and then it's these great animated, fight sequences and all of that. That's not happening all the time. Because out of all these episodes, I bet you those are the ones that are caught traction because of that. But outside of that, they're like Baby Nick Jr., you know what I'm saying, type episodes, and I don't even rock with that. Because even me right now, like if I were to go back and start watching, Pokemon again, like I'm skipping certain episodes. Not every
Nah, that's
not
facts.
Yeah, not
That's
every single
facts.
episode. I'm like, oh my God, it's so great. Nah, there's episodes that stick out to me, you know what I'm saying, for memory, and I was telling you, I wouldn't even know where to watch these episodes anyway. Because they
Yo,
said
that's
that
facts.
the final episodes with Ash is going to be on Netflix. But where is this other show, going on at?
The one after the special episodes, right?
No, no, the one I'm talking about where he actually became a champion. Like I didn't know, I don't know where to watch this shit.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, 100%.
I didn't
I
even know
didn't
that.
I didn't know where to watch those that like final tournament. I just saw, clips on TikTok and um, like small bits here and there. I know honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest. Outside of the actual battles, like you said earlier, I didn't watch a single bit of it.
And if
I just
you
watched
didn't
the
know,
actual battles.
facts. And
You
if
know
you don't
what
know where to find it, that means I'm not gonna know where to find that shit.
I'm saying?
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, because I seen that and I was like, like there was a part of me that was kind of like, damn, in a sense, because my idea of Ash and let's say maybe a kid that's coming up now, his idea of Ash is two completely different people. Like
Yeah.
my memory of Ash is the Ash is gonna pull his hat backwards and go try to snuff motherfucking Mewtwo and fight him himself. That's
Yes,
the Ash
sir.
that I remember. The Ash I remember,
Or the Ash that's going to take his whole starter route and travel across the ice to get to Articuno's island. You know what I'm saying? Get that
exactly
last
on
sphere.
on Lugia's
You
back.
know what I'm saying?
On Lugia's
On
back.
Lugia's back.
Freaking
You know what
freaking
I'm saying?
Charizard versus Entei. That's the Ash Ketchum that I remember. So part of me is like affected by it a little bit because that's like, all right, so I can always go back and watch it, but now the character of Ash that we grew up on, because whether we like it or not, that's still the same character. He will no longer have new stories to tell. So that's it. So do
Yeah.
you kind of agree with me in that aspect? Like, you know, yeah, he's not the same, but it's still the same guy because the name is the same. This, according to them, it's still the same trainer, the same
No,
Pokemon, the same character.
100%. It's like you said. As much as we may not like it, that's just what it is at the end of the day. So
Mm-hmm.
and the most important key factor that you said, correlating to even what you were saying earlier is the fact that newer kids coming up, you know their Ash, like how they perceive him is just totally different from the way that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they made it for the newer generation coming up because
Yeah,
you know
because they're the
they're
ones
going
that
to
are
be the
going out
primary
and
ones
buying
watching
it.
it.
Yeah, they're the
Exactly,
ones because they know that
they're the ones
they
going out there and buying
because
it.
they still got
You know,
parents that are
so
going to Toys R Us and Target for Christmas buying Pokemon games.
right, and
Uh,
but what's crazy though? Despite all of that, there's a fair amount of people who are still like within our age group and even slightly younger, like in their mid 20s. Even going out to getting Scarlet and Violet. And you see where the correlation comes where it's like they aren't. I've watched a few streamers stream Scarlet and Violet, and they've come out saying that yeah, like I don't mess with the show, but the games are still pretty cool. Like the
mm,
concept.
yeah,
You
I'm
know,
I'm pretty
that's just
sure.
what I've seen.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
here
pretty
and
sure they
there.
are. I'm pretty sure they are.
Yeah,
But let me say something. Like people like that, like, and I'm not gonna say that like I'm not like that. Like, let's say if you gave me a Pokemon, if someone gave me a Pokemon game for free, like let's say they gave me Pokemon Scarlet for free, I'll play that shit. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
Because it's still in me, like like my inner Pokemon trainer is still in me. So it's not like I've ever grown out of Pokemon. It's just like, yo, I just don't play it as much these days, and I don't watch the show as much. And then on top of that,
100%.
too, let's throw this in the pot: the fact that the Pokemon movies sucked. These shit
Oh my
started sucking
gosh.
after a while. All
Oh
right, they were
yeah.
not the
Oh
same, and that's
yeah.
one of the reasons why I
Oh
stopped
yeah.
watching the shit. Because
You want to
I
know
don't
what's crazy?
remember the last Pokemon movie that I saw that I was like, wow, it was really good. Because even Pokemon I Choose You, the one that came out on Netflix, finally they fucking put Ho-Oh in that goddamn movie. But at the same time, all that movie really kind of was, for the most part, was like a rehash of Ash's journey up until a certain point. If you get
Yeah.
what I'm saying. So it was
No.
still
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
starting
Yeah.
from Pallet Town. It was still him and Pikachu getting attacked by, like a herd of fucking sparrows and shit. It was cool, but I'm like, what the movies used to be back then and how they kind of made legendaries like so separate from everything else, and how they always had a very cool story. They stopped doing that shit after a while. And while you give me
No,
your opinion, I'm gonna look
100%.
this shit up. I'm gonna look up where I feel like the last good Pokemon movie was and what year that shit was.
No, but speaking of the movies too, bro, it's crazy because as I am now, like I don't take the initiative to go out of my way to go watch animated movies for a lot of different things. Like for example, like My Hero Academia. That's for those who don't know, it's an anime, but like I don't make it like a top priority the same way I used to for Pokemon and Digimon. But like you said, they just eventually they stopped putting their foot on the gas with the movies, man. They just got so blah. Oh my gosh.
Nah.
You,
All right.
you, you can't make it
So
up.
you have in 2007. I remember this movie. You had The Rise of Darkrai. That came out in 2007. That's a long ass time ago. That's one.
Yeah.
Then you had the Giratina movie, and I don't really remember that movie as much. What's funny, I remember the Pokemon Generations like little short of that versus the movie actually itself. And I remember seeing the Arceus movie a little bit. See, I will have to watch the movies again but that just goes to show how I wasn't feeling it anymore.
It wasn't
Especially,
impactful. Yeah.
well, especially because of the fact that you're reusing a lot of the same legendaries that were in other fucking films.
No, yeah, 100%, bro. 100%. I'm actually looking at the list myself right now too, just to make sure that I'm
Nah. So I will
remembering
say
everything correctly. But in all honesty, I stopped real early on with what I really cared for in terms of their movies.
right. So I will
Way
say
early on.
2010 was probably the last good Pokemon film that I've seen. And then I Choose You was, again, it was cool. It wasn't a bad movie, but that was about it. And then they made that Mewtwo Strikes Back movie again. Trash. Trash. When
Yeah,
I seen
nah, it was
I seen
garbage.
that on Twitter, and I was like, why are they doing, we already had the first movie. So why are you doing another one? So to me,
Nah,
I've
it was
always felt
trash.
that like the writer's room over there in Japan, I don't know what they be thinking, or they get lazy or some shit, or they want to kind of hold off on certain ideas to the very end. Like, yo, remember a long ass time ago, like damn near almost 10 years ago, we had that whole conversation of what Pokemon 2000 should have been. We had that whole conversation. We literally came up with a whole treatment for that film from scratch. From scratch, dog.
I at first I didn't remember, but thinking back on it now, I remember the entire thing. That's crazy. We just
Exactly.
sat there created a whole movie in like five, ten
Yeah.
minutes.
So, but that would never happen. Those conversations would never even be a thing if we didn't actually love Pokemon. Like, for anybody who's actually listening to this, like, we both actually love fucking Pokemon. Like, if I'm red, this nigga's
Yeah.
blue or fucking green. Like, if I'm red, this nigga's Gary. If I'm Ash,
Nah,
he's
that's a
Gary.
fact.
If I'm
Nah,
using
that's a fact.
Charizard, this nigga's using Blastoise and shit like that.
Hundred percent.
If I'm using Ho, this nigga's using Lugia. Like, we actually
Hundred
fucking
percent.
love this shit. So that's why it's like I felt it was necessary, like out of all the conversations that we've ever had in life about Pokemon, I wanted this to kind of be like the definitive conversation slash quick take, because again, it's like, yo, niggas actually grew up with this shit. And the older that we get, the probably less likely it is that we're gonna kind of tune back into this shit. Because the people in our
No,
age
hundred
bracket that
percent.
are playing Pokemon right now, these are diehard Pokemon fans that don't really play anything else. So we're not talking about guys that play Pokemon heavy and still play Smash Bros. And, you know what I'm saying, Call of Duty and Apex and all these other types of fucking games. They only really play that.
Yeah,
And they're the ones who probably still
yeah,
play Pokemon trading card games too. So they're diehard Pokemon fans
yeah.
or
It's actually a
players
fair
and
point on
trading
that.
card players and shit. What'd you say?
Yeah. No, I said fair point on that, and even while I was looking up things on the whole Masters 8 tournament with Ash and all those other trainers like Cynthia and everything, I also found that like there's a crazy competitive scene for the Pokemon games too, and
Oh,
I
like the
was like
video games.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, and
that's a fact.
I was like watching a video, and I was just like, yo, like I don't follow any of this anymore. Like it's just gotten out of hand. I mean, in my opinion, on how much things they've implemented. Like I know in like the newer ones, Scarlet and Violet, there's like a new like transformation that random or I don't know if it's all a random Pokemon have that can like add a type to their current type. So like if you find a Dragonite and he has like a normal crystal, I don't know what the fuck it's called,
Mm-hmm.
but a normal uh crystal form, whatever thing, like he can like in battle he can change from just a pure dragon flying to dragon flying and normal. And I'm just like, what is this? I
Yeah.
don't know, man.
So apparently, so the last series or the last season of Pokemon, so it's the Ultimate Journeys. I don't know if that's supposed to be the last one, but so these shows are on Netflix. I didn't even know that. So it says the season premiered in Japan on TV Tokyo on December 17, 2021, and in the United States on Netflix on September 23rd, 2022. So this shit just came out a couple of months ago on
What?
Netflix. So like, yeah, I didn't even know that. And maybe it's because I wasn't looking for it, but I didn't even know that.
No, me neither.
And they got and
That's
they got
actually news to
46
me.
episodes.
That is news to me.
Yeah, but I think that Master Journeys and Ultimate Journeys are probably when Pokemon started to get good again. I don't think that, or maybe Journeys too, because so it's Journeys, Master Journeys, and Ultimate Journeys. But I think from it says XY, Kalos Quest, XYZ, Sun and Moon. I think those looked and sounded trash to me. But prior to that, you know what I'm saying, Diamond and Pearl, those were actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Because then it was
No, those
Advanced
those were
Battle. Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. So because Diamond and Pearl was
Those were fine.
2006. That was 2006.
Yeah, nah, those were fun. Those were fun. Like Diamond, I think Diamond and Pearl were like the end of the time for it for me. Me being actually heavily invested. I wouldn't say heavily invested, but just me being invested in general. Like
Mm-hmm.
Diamond and Pearl era was what it was, where I was like, all right, like I can't anymore.
Yeah.
Being from that era that started with Pallet Town Ash, with the meeting Misty, traveling with Brock and Misty and all of them, like Diamond and Pearl was like it for me. But
Yeah.
yeah, man,
So, and I didn't
yeah.
know, and for whatever reason, they keep getting girls to voice Ash and shit like that. So I didn't see what Veronica Taylor said because she's the original Ash for a very long time. I don't know when she stopped, but then there's this other woman. Her name is Sarah. I'm not going to pronounce her last name because I no. But she says it's been an extraordinary privilege to have been the English voice of Ash Ketchum for what will be 17 years. No matter what lies beyond his final chapter, he'll live forever in the hearts of many generations to come. Cheers to new beginnings. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's like even when people were saying like rest in peace to Cartoon Network because Cartoon Network is no longer a thing now. Apparently, I don't watch TV anymore, but apparently like that wasn't a thing, and everybody was saying that.
Oh wow. I'm actually looking into it right now. I saw a clip recently of the Sarah girl that you're talking about. Basically going over how she does her dubs because it comes out in Japan first, obviously. Then they translate over to English.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I saw her tweet as well. And then no, yeah, that's 100% right. Losing Ash again, like it may not hit home the way that it is for certain people who are still heavily invested, but it definitely is, marking like the end of an era. And
Right.
it's this is just coming from me personally. It just sucks that it had to go out the way that it's currently going out, and that's just the way I'm perceiving it.
What do you mean?
No, I mean, like, obviously the episodes haven't aired yet, but again, personally, you have a really good beginning, a crappy middle, and then an okay end. And I'm saying that in terms of like the different regions and all the different seasons and stuff like that. Because again, to reiterate on what you were saying earlier, I wouldn't be able to go back and watch anything after Diamond and Pearl, like those regions, and be like, okay, this is good. At least to me.
Mm-hmm.
So to me,
Yeah.
I just feel like they wasted a lot of potential on that. But hey, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
to also speak on the girls voicing Ash and everything, it's actually pretty common for women to voice male protagonists in Japan.
Shit, a woman
Um,
was the one who voiced Tommy from the damn Rugrats.
yeah, yeah.
E.G.
For those for
Daily.
those for those who watch One Piece, you guys know who Luffy's voice actor is. Same thing for Goku. You know,
Goku's voice
um,
actor in Japan is a girl.
yeah, bro.
Are you serious? Nah, yeah, nah. They gotta chill out with that. They need to they gotta chill, bro.
You didn't know that?
No, I did not know that. I mean, because his voice was squeaky. Like I remember when Dragon Ball Super came out and hearing his voice for the first time, that kind of threw me off. But I didn't think it was a girl because who has a squeaky kind of voice? Like Naruto has a squeaky voice, in my opinion.
I think a lot. I think Naruto's voiced by a girl too.
Yeah, that's not necessary. I think Japan has something about women voicing, popular male
You
characters.
remember? I'm about to ruin Magi for you. I'm not even gonna say.
What the fuck? Like Sinbad is voiced by a girl or some shit?
No, Aladdin.
I'm not surprised. Aladdin is fucking gay, bro. Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. Yeah, you can say that shit. I won't get offended or feel a ways because that nigga is not my favorite character at all.
Yeah, no. I know Sinbad's that guy.
Nah, but well, anyway, yeah. So because Veronica Taylor, she never came out, and so it says Taylor is yet to comment on the news that Ash and Pikachu will no longer be the face of the franchise. I'm pretty sure she'll probably come out at some point, and and kind of speak on it, probably have some kind of tribute to it, something like that. But
Yeah.
so I will ask you. So what were your favorite characters from Pokemon, like from the series, like just your whole entire memory of
Man,
Pokemon?
every time Gary came on that screen, I was hooked.
This nigga said Gary, bro.
Nah, bro. Homie
I
used to
thought you
pull
was
up
about to
in the
say
whip.
Lance or some shit.
Nah. Look. Nah, because Lance, listen, like I learned pretty early on that the characters that I liked normally didn't have much screen time, and at growing up that used to like kind of frustrate me because I was like, damn, like Gary's always pulling up in the car with the girls. You know what I'm saying? He chose, what I'm saying? He has the Blastoise, Ash has the Charizard, and Ash out here not catching anything good. Gary got all the good ones, bro. And then I just realized, like, damn, like it's really the Ash show. Gary ain't really around like that. He had his moments, obviously, like early on, but then after a couple of seasons, he moved on
Yeah.
and he stopped showing up. But definitely loved Gary. As you said, you know where I'm going with that next. Lance was back then in the Elite Four. Lance was that dude for me. Man, I remember seeing his Dragonite. I was just like, yeah, that's that guy. If he had to lose to anybody, I thank God it was plot armor because we all know he should have.
Oh, he should have beat who?
Man,
You said he
nah,
should have beat who?
nah. I mean, like against like Blue or Gary, whatever. Like in
Mm-hmm.
in the Elite Four, like in that
Mm-hmm.
alternate, shit that like nobody ever saw. All we know is that Blue/Gary was the champion, but I personally felt like Lance's
You're
Dragonite.
saying when he in the Pokemon Origins, and then when Red fought Blue, or is it Green? Nah, he was Green. He wasn't Blue.
Who
The Gary character, like the Gary looking character, he was actually Green. He wasn't Blue.
was that verified?
If you can Google it, there's like on like Bulbapedia or on Wikipedia, you'll see his character is not Blue. So if you look up Pokemon Origins right now, and then when you look at the characters list, I'm pretty sure that he is gonna say his name is Green. Hold up, watch.
Red discovers that Blue has beat him
Oh
to.
shit, never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. It,
You
it
know
is
why?
Blue. It
Because
is
I, I
Blue. It
was
is
I was
Blue.
thinking of something else. I was thinking of something else then.
Nah. You definitely threw me for a loop right there because I was like 99% sure
Yeah,
that it was Blue.
I really thought he was fucking Green. Yeah, but anyway,
Yeah,
what?
nah.
So you're saying what? Fucking so Gary and Lance and Dragonite, you said?
No, yeah. I was saying, I feel like, his Dragonite, man. I feel like he should have destroyed Blastoise, but that's just me personally.
Oh,
That's just me.
but I will say this: the coolest thing that I always liked about Gary, because he's a character that I don't really like, but was that particularly in the video game and the show, I guess, but he was always like 2, 3 steps ahead of Ash. So it's
Yeah,
like Ash was going through mad shit. Like it's like when Ash was struggling in Brock's gym, this nigga was already in Vermilion fucking City. This
yeah,
nigga was already like at fucking Vermilion Gym fighting Mewtwo and shit like that. Like he was already like every time in the games when you would press A or X next to the sign, it would always say, "Oh, like people who won the gym, Blue or Gary,
Yep.
whoever you named them."
Yep.
And I always liked how he was always like 2 steps ahead. Even like his Pokemon were always higher than yours if you didn't train your shits up to par.
Yep. Yep. You had
Always
like you had to take that time out and go train for that
just to
battle
train
against
because
him
when he pops up,
because yep, you know he ain't like he ain't the regulars around.
facts like he's
He
always
ain't
so
the
if your Pokemon
regulars.
is level 32, his shit is like 48, fucking
Yep.
52, and all that. But
Yep.
I would say that's the one thing that I always admired about him. But I can't say just because me and Ash are like, there's a lot of shit that Ash would do on that show down the line that I never fucking approved of. But I will say my favorite character out of all of them is fucking Charmander and Charizard. Not really Charmeleon because he was only Charmeleon for like a couple of episodes. But the
Yeah.
reason why is because you remember his story, how
Yeah. Trainer
his
left him.
trainer, yeah, his trainer left him on there, and then like he had to rebuild himself because like all these Pokemon for the most part, they all had personalities, even though they couldn't speak, but they all had like their own individual thing. And then
Yep.
even when he had to go to Charcific Valley and stuff, like there's YouTube videos about this and how like he didn't measure up to the other Charizards that was there. And then initially when he fought the girl one, and then he fought what was apparently was like the weakest one there, and he still got his ass whooped. And then he had to work extra hard just to earn the right to be able to train there because he wanted to be better. And then look at how far he came from being the Charmander that was, alone by himself on the stoop in the rain.
Yep.
And that
And came a
honestly, like,
long way.
yeah, like how he was always, and that's the other thing too. Like he was always there for Ash, like whenever Ash needed him. And then it got to a point where like nigga Charizard was elite. Like every time Charizard would come back, Charizard would always go tit for tat with whoever he needed him to go tit for tat with, either
Yep.
to even the odds or beat whoever it was. Because I
Yep.
would say probably my favorite moment out of like all the moments of Charizard that I could think of right now was honestly when he showed up in Pokemon 3 and he saved Ash and then he came back and then he banged with fucking Entei. That is my favorite fucking
Yeah.
part because he literally held his own. The only reason why he lost was because Entei had like the cheat codes. So he was able to jump from area to fucking area and then like create obstacles in fucking Charizard's way.
Nah, that man was hacks.
Yeah, so like to me, that L didn't really fucking count. And then that just goes to show that he can literally fucking go
But
tit
even
for tat with an
still,
Entei.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not even
Like you
real.
said,
Because
he went toe to toe with that shit,
yeah,
bro.
because that
Like,
Entei was not even real. That wasn't a real Entei on top of that. Because I've
yeah,
seen that movie a million times to think like, oh, that wasn't even a real Entei. Why? Because his flames were purple. That's why every
yeah.
time Ash would call Entei fake, Entei would get mad offended because nigga, you're not real. You're not a real
No,
Entei.
facts.
So that
Facts.
was cool. That was cool. And I think when Ash had the Chimchar, it was a similar story. It was
Yeah,
very similar
yeah.
between Chimchar.
That
Yeah,
dude Paul was like abusing it and thought it was
yeah.
mad weak.
Up and then he let him go, and then that affected Chimchar's like image of himself. And then what he had to do, he had to go through several battles, mad experiences to build himself up to get to the
Yep.
point where he became elite too. Shit, because I think it was Infernape versus Electivire, and he won.
Yeah.
Because there's
And in all honesty, he even went down to be one of Ash's like top 10 strongest Pokemon of like all time.
facts.
In my opinion, obviously Charizard is there, but Chimchar slash Infernape, he definitely made that list. All the ones that he had that went through some intense struggle eventually cracked that top 10 list for Ash.
Right.
You
See,
know,
and this is one thing that I know you're gonna agree on is the fact that you know adults like motherfuckers who like raised us, or like people who are older than us and people who are not like kind of privy, they'll look at that show as like just another cartoon. But like to me, like there's a lot that can be learned from these cartoons. Like you'll even see that like the ending part with Mewtwo and Mew, and when he's talking about like the there's really no difference between the clones and the real Pokemon.
yeah,
And he was saying it's what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are. Like you don't hear
Yep.
shit, like sometimes you don't hear shit like that in adult, quote unquote, adult movies, live action movies.
How you don't, bro?
And these are things that I've taken with me throughout my life,
Yeah.
like life,
Especially,
like straight
what
life
I'm saying.
lessons.
Yeah, especially and just to to personalize it, because me and you both had similar upbringings. There are things like that you don't even hear in the household.
Facts.
Positive things that you don't even hear in the household, and then when you go to your escape, which is like these shows, anime, cartoons, whatever, and you hear these quotes that really stick to you. You internalize it, and it really hits home for you, and it shapes the way you perceive reality. You know,
Facts.
like even the quote about the clones, it's like when Mewtwo was speaking to Mew, you know, listen, treat all people equally, regardless of where they come from, you know, how they act, whatever the case may be. End of the day, if you're gonna be, if you have the gift of life and you're making the best out of it, what I'm saying? It don't matter where you come from. it
Man,
don't
and
matter
I'll
how
say this
it don't
too.
matter how you were created. You know what I'm saying?
And then and then another thing, they fucked that shit up because they fucking made Mewtwo a fucking girl and like one of the last it was like the last Mewtwo movie where Mewtwo would change to its Y
Mega
evolution.
evolution.
It would
Yeah.
switch back and forth, right? And then it was fighting that bug thing. You know the fucking voice of Mewtwo was a girl, and I'm not being sexist, but come on now, fuck that. They could have got the same
Nah,
guy. They could
yeah.
have got the same guy that voiced Mewtwo back in the day. Had
Back
back
then, yeah.
to that shit.
And to my understanding, there is only one Mewtwo, so I'm not sure where the disconnect was. But even on top of that, it's like they did the same thing with Lugia, and it's just like
Oh, so they had another movie where Lugia was a fucking girl.
I'm not sure if it was a movie or just him like in the show, per se. But
Yeah, but they kind of made Lugia not as like as legendary or rare because they showed it as there being multiple like Lugias and that Lugia can
that's what I'm saying.
produce.
That
Yeah,
kind of
like
pissed me off because then it's like, why call him a legendary if there's like 18 of them
multiple.
running
Yeah,
around?
yeah. There was like the baby episode where it wasn't Team Rocket. I don't know. It was somebody that captured one of I think like the baby Lugia and then the mom Lugia, which couldn't talk, would like went to go like try to find it and shit like that.
Generally speaking, I want to speak on one last thing before we wrap this up, and that's just like the direction I think Pokemon should take, from a show standpoint and a game standpoint as well. Um, to be fair, I think the games are actually doing a really good job in how they currently are. So me speaking on the games is going to be pretty short. The only thing is, I don't know if you remember, like a couple of years back, we had the concept of this thing called like Pokemon Masters or something like that, where it was like it would be a game where you start from Pallet Town. It would be a
You go
very,
through
really,
all the shits. Yeah.
really long game, right? Open world, but super long, right? You'd start from Pallet Town with like, Charizard, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, and you would go through all the regions. But like thinking back on it now, I forget what we said about the Elite Four, but I think what should really happen is something similar to the way Ash did it. Like you have to be sure when you challenge the Elite Four because if you lose, you know what I'm saying? You like hit like the next region. You can still come back to like the previous region, but you can't re-challenge the previous Elite Four or Champion Squad, whatever, until you
Mm.
you finish with the region that you had to move on to from losing that first run through. But I think that'll be a really interesting take on switching up how they're doing the games because like you said, it really seems like a cash grab at this point, for those people who just are just diehard fans of it, and who just, who are children or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think, announcing something like that, like, hey, we're gonna start all the way back from Pallet Town and you guys can run through every single region. I think that'll actually do wonders for the community. Um, and then now speaking on the show personally, I do like the fact that that they're moving on from Ash, but a lot of damage has been done. I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of damage has been done, bro. I mean, I think you know the only realistic thing that I personally would want to see is similar to what I just said. The same way Pokemon Generations, or Origins. Was it Pokemon Generations or Origins? Hold on. Yeah, just Generations showed, like, all of the other things that we never got to see in those shows. Like, I think they just make an off show about everything else, or they make a show pertaining to Red and Blue, and make them, easily, like,
Man,
it,
they
it,
should
it
have
goes
been.
back
They
and
should have
forth.
been done
It
that
goes back
though.
and forth between Red and Blue, and like they both are, like, sharing screen time as their own separate protagonists. Because, you know, in that show, we're talking about Red's, like, whole journey, bro. That's a long journey. Same thing for Blue. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, it's a long journey. There's so much that they can do, and and to the argument of them just doing everything for, like, newer kids. Hey, like, there are kids being born right now who have no clue what it was like back from Palatown days. And they could do it better now than they ever could. So
Right, right, right.
that's
Well,
just my
first,
take on that.
yeah. Well, all right. Well, first things first. The new characters, they look like trash. All right, like
OD, OD.
yeah, they look
The the
garbage.
the,
And
the character design, in general, like the style of art that they chose for the show in general, to me, leaves so much to be desired.
nah, well, first and foremost, like I was saying, they look fucking trash. I
Yeah,
don't like how the dude looks. He looks short. I don't like his hair. The Pokemon that I'm looking at right now, I don't know if you know the picture that I'm talking about, but they're like standing in grass, and it's like, the sky, and then you got the this like fox, knockoff Eevee looking character, and then you got this great value Piplup, and then like this ugly, Neopet,
pig.
fake Digimon looking ass Pokemon. I'm just not rocking with it, yo. And this is why, like, moving forward, I'm not gonna watch this. Like, I wouldn't even sit there and pretend like I'm gonna watch it, because I'm not, because already these
No,
characters, they don't look cool to me. And then on top of that, I don't even know the last like 300 Pokemon that have probably come out in the last 10 years. Like, I don't even
you
know.
said 300. Try 600,
Could get
bro.
whatever that crazy ass number is. And then the only way I'm gonna know about that is if I play all the games. And then, when am I ever gonna have time to really do all of that? You know what I'm saying? Because it's
Yeah,
best is like if you play them as they come out. So then you'll play the game and you have like a year and a half to 2 years to play it. Then the next one will come out. And then you have the next 2 years to kind of digest all those Pokemon, because I only know all the Pokemon up until Diamond. That is
yeah.
it. That is it. Because when Black and White came out, I didn't buy that shit. When X and Y came out, I didn't buy that shit. When Shield and Sword came out, I didn't buy that shit. Scarlet and,
Nope.
and Violet, I didn't buy them. So it's like I don't really know what's going on. So people could say, "Oh, do you know this Pokemon?" I'm gonna be like, no." You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna know that.
Nah,
Where I
facts.
would like them to go, I mean, not with that particular series, because I know they're gonna do some BS. But what they really should do, and I'm very big on, like, if you're gonna do something that is long standing, like that appeals to different generations, then you want to make something that can appeal to everybody. Don't
Yep.
just make something that, like, only people who are up to date and current with it can only, like, really know what's going on. Nah, like we were saying years ago, like that Pokemon, Masters or Pokemon Generations or something. It should be something that everybody can play. So that way,
Yeah.
it's like you start from Palatown, and then I could still catch up on everything. Why? Because I'm gonna go through all those other regions too.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? But I don't think that's gonna happen, because I feel like they, and like I said, it's business, so they're just gonna keep moving forward with the newest thing. Most people, they don't really like to get caught up in like the nostalgia stuff when they're constantly trying to move forward, especially if it's Pokemon. I mean, Pokemon is probably like the biggest thing of its kind because people don't talk about Digimon like that, and Digimon used to be its contemporary. So who's
Yeah,
Pokemon really competing with?
exactly.
But
And
they should.
at that point, if you have no competition, then why instead of just sitting there trying to think of a new region, new ugly character designs, new ugly Pokemon designs, whatever the case may be, you could just strengthen your foundation. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Go back to your roots and strengthen and bring that up to present day animation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but and here's the thing too, because I think Pokemon Generations and Pokemon Origins was really kind of their way of fan servicing the fans. So I feel like they did hear stuff like what we had to say from, just a whole lot of people. And I think that's what that was, if you get what I'm
yeah,
saying. So I feel like
no, yeah, 100%.
that was their way of doing that. So it wasn't like a whole full anime or nothing, but like they're like, all right, so we're gonna give y'all this limited series. We're gonna give y'all these things, and that's the fan service for the older generation of fans that came up watching it. Because my favorite one out of all of them was when Yusin, I think is his name, the guy who liked Suicune. He was like the Suicune expert and was always looking for Suicune. When he goes
Yeah,
to the burnt tower and then he's telling the story, and then as he's there, he almost became worthy of Suicune giving him the chance to catch him. And then when
yeah,
Suicune leaves, and then when he's walking away, and then the rainbow feather comes down, I was like, yo, like that, the music, that whole thing, I was like, nah, that shit gives me
yeah,
goosebumps
yeah.
today. Today. I
And
could
and
watch that
and
right now. That'll give me goosebumps.
and it's crazy because it's like, you know, as we're sitting here saying, it's like catering to everybody. There are people like, who I'm pretty sure have, one friend, like me, like I am to you and like you are to me, where it's like, I loved Lugia, you know what I'm saying? And you loved Ho-Oh, you know what I'm saying? So seeing that rainbow feather, because Lugia, he got his movies, he got his screen time, but Ho never really got as much
Nope.
as him. So I know seeing stuff like that, really did really did it for you. That like that was like a moment that like you said, if you watch it now, you'll get goosebumps. You know what I'm saying? And
Facts.
and on top of that, you know what I'm saying, there was multiple stories tied into that. It wasn't just Suicune. They spoke on all the dogs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a reference to Ho-Oh there. So it's just about, like you said, taking care of everybody,
Everybody,
getting everybody involved in an episode like that. And to me, I'm not their PR. I'm not in their
Nigga
conference rooms.
said, nah.
I wish I was, but to me, that's the biggest cash grab of all. If you really want to make money,
Well,
you do that.
I'm gonna throw this in there, and then we'll pretty much be good. But I'll say like, kind of how every year they got a Call of Duty, like they got a new Call of Duty out every year. There's like a new version of an iPhone. There's a new version of like the same thing over and over and over again. I feel
Yep.
like with Pokemon, it's gotten to that point, and it's hard to keep up with something that is constantly coming out with the newest thing over and over and over again. It's like, yo, like, well,
Yeah.
when do I get a chance to get on a train that keeps moving? And if
Yeah.
you because we got off, you know what I'm saying? So the people that stayed on the train, well, they're good, but we got off and it's still going. So, and it's just like, all right, well, who really wants to backtrack and watch all these episodes of Pokemon? Who really wants to backtrack and watch and play Pokemon Black, Pokemon, X, Pokemon Sword, Pokemon Violet? Like that's mad games.
Yeah.
And if I was a YouTuber or a gaming YouTuber and people were watching that shit, then sure. But if you're not in that lane or people are not, sitting watching playing video games, it's kind of hard to do that. But anyway, but this was a cool conversation. I feel like that we needed to have, just for lifelong or being lifelong Pokemon fans and stuff like that. But anyway, what are y'all thoughts? Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace out. Peace out.